Welcome to Love Your House. Today we're going to learn how to research your home. I'm Kirsten Mouton and I work for the Livingston County Library. You can start your research anywhere, but I like to start with maps. The Sanborn Fire Insurance maps offer good information if your house happens to be in their coverage areas and in the years shown. For Livingston County, we have these following years. All but 1927 can be found online at the Library of Congress. For 1927, you'll just need to come into our library to look at it. For homes that are built later, you can still look and see what was on your lot prior to your house. Let's look at an example. Go to your favorite web browser and you're going to type in Sanborn Maps and pick the one for the Library of Congress. And then I just type in Chillicothe and go down to pick Chillicothe, Livingston County. And it will pull up all the Sanborn maps that are available online for Livingston County. It doesn't always show up in chronological order for me. I'm not sure why, but they're all there. You just have to scroll up and down to find them. So let's go ahead and pick one to look at. We will pick 1890, and here's the sheet. You always want to click into this. The colored area, so those are all the sheets that are included, and then when you click into the first sheet, it shows you the colored areas, and those are the coverage areas that the map includes. So you see there's quite a bit of town that it doesn't include. As time went on, they included more and more. So we're going to look, what we're looking for is in this green square number 2, so we're going to go down to number 2. Now I always orient it north up so I can figure out where I am on the map. And I'm just zooming in, and I'm zooming into Locust and First Street, and all I see is there's 3 empty lots there. So now we're going to look at another one. We'll look at 1896. So I'm going to click into that, and here's all the sheets. So I click into those. There's all the sheets included, and I go into the first one to find out which number it is. It does change from sheet to sheet. So I'm looking, and I can see that it looks like there's Locust Street and First Street. It's still in number 2. So I'll go and pull down the drop down for number 2 and orient north towards the top. It just makes it so much easier to find stuff. And then as I zoom in, suddenly there is a house covering 2 lots with some kind of garage or barn structure in the corner. Now there's a lot of things you can tell from these maps. The D means dwelling. You can see it had 3 porches. Those are the dashed lines around there. It is 2-story structure. The porches are 1-story. You can also look up panoramic maps to see stuff from a really long time ago. So just type in panoramic, and I typed in Chillicothe, Mo. And then what pulls up for me is libraryofcongress.gov, loc.gov. And it brings up, we have one panoramic map. They call it bird's eye view also. That's the style of map. And ours happens to be from 1869, so there it is. And then from there you can just zoom in. There you can see the year at the bottom, Chillicothe. You can zoom in and out to see various levels of detail. So I can already see going down Locust Street to First, it's just all empty lots. There's nothing built on that side. Or you can go uptown. There you can see the square. And you can see various buildings around the square. And this is just a really fun map to move around in, zoom in, see close-ups. Another resource is to use directories. Directories will show you who lived at a particular address in a particular year. The oldest one we have is on the right, the red one, and that's from 1899 to 1900. Unfortunately, that one does not have a street guide, but all the rest do. The next one that we have is the yellow one on the left. That is from 1917 to 1918. As you can see, we do have a lot of gaps, but there's a lot of good information in these directories. This is a page from the 1899 directory. The family who built the house at Locust and First is shown here. It's Stephen N. Norris. It shows his profession as well as his residence. I'm not sure why their daughter Ava is shown at 107 Elm Street. I think that's some kind of mistake. And just remember that this earliest directory does not include a street guide, so you have to know names. A good place to find all the names of the people who owned your lot and eventually built your house there is to look at your deed. If you don't have your deed, you can go to the Recorder of Deeds office on the second floor of the courthouse. They will let you look, or they can look for you. They do charge for copies. So shown here are 2 pages from the deed of the home at Locust and First Street. It shows it was recorded July 4th, 1837 by Graves and Stone. And then it looks like in 1838, the Stones bought out the Graves for $100 for these particular lots. There could be a lot of information on these old deeds. Another great resource is to go to the old newspaper. So if you go to our website, click on e-content, scroll all the way down, way down to Chillicothe Newspaper Archives, go to site. You'll have to create a login if you don't already have one. It is free. I'm already logged in. I like to do advanced searches. You want to type in the address. You also want to look up names of people. So there's a lot of different ways you can search. I like to start with just looking at everything that comes up for the address. You can see there's quite a few of them here. And I'm going to narrow it down by a date range from 1889, the earliest, just up to 1930 or so. And I picked an article from 1925, and I'm going to zoom in. And sometimes you have to reposition on the screen when you zoom in. But you can see that Mrs. Ava Norris Milbank was entertaining basically the local DAR chapter at her house at 107 Locust Street back in 1925. Here's another search with the very narrow years of 1960 to 61. I knew there was a change because I looked at the deed. I do suggest that you get creative with your search terms. Sometimes maybe just the owner's last name and just the street name. Here I actually have come across an article about the Jordans selling the home to Elmer Gilliland and his wife Imogene. So it's just a little bit of confirmation, a little bit more information. Once you know some names, you're going to want to try looking them up in some of the local histories. There's a few of them shown here. You're going to want to see if they're there and what you can find out about them. Here we're taking a look at the 1886 history book. We're looking at Z.B. Myers' history. Now, he ran the City Hall Opera House and the Luella Grand Theater, but he did all that after 1886, so that's not in this book. So just keep that in mind when you're looking at these resources. Another good resource, if you know the names, is to go to Green Hills Pioneers, thegreenhills.org/pioneers. You just search up by the last name. I'm going to go over to Norris and scroll down till I find him. This is not all inclusive, but there are a lot of people in this resource. And click on the narrative and it'll tell you just some of the basics about the person. What's really nice though, there are hyperlinks. So the information's there, both parents for this particular person, the wife, Flora Humphrey, and then the daughter. And you click on it and it takes you to the daughter. See, she married a Milbank, when they got married. You'll want to look around your house closely for additional clues. Check in your closets. Look for a change in building materials. Maybe your roof lines don't quite match up. Sometimes you can see changes on maps. You want to see what turns up in your backyard. If you do renovations, that gives you a chance to look behind the walls. You might want to talk to people who've been in the area for a long time. Talk to your neighbors. Learn the history of your specific neighborhood. And then be aware of what was there before your house. Now, sometimes census data can be helpful as well. From our website page, you can get to Heritage Quest, log in, and some of the census records, sometimes the census taker would note the street and sometimes even the house number on the record. So that gives you a chance for some of those years that we don't have city directories. It might give you a chance to find some more information about your home. Here are some pictures of things we have found in our backyard. That photo on the left is my husband with what we think was a gazebo footing. He kept hitting something in the garden and finally dug it up. We have found toys. You see there the porcelain doll head, bricks, ceramics, porcelain, parts of dishes, glass, and what looks like a draw pull there or a handle. Here's an example of some things you can find if you do a small renovation. The picture on the left was a shallow pantry. Then the picture in the middle shows what is behind that pantry. It's sort of a dead space in the house. It had at one time a ceiling of lathing and plaster. I removed that ceiling. And above that, the picture in the upper right were some of the original stairs. And we realized that this dead space in the house had been a back staircase from the first floor to the second floor. And in fact, there had also been one from the second floor to the attic. So you just never know what you're going to find. And you want to look for a picture of your house. Everyone wants a picture of their house from back in the day. It's worth taking a look at the museum to see what they have. They have a lot of displays, a lot of information. And one thing I really like over there is this huge picture, an aerial shot of town from 1964. Now, it's a little hard to read the map. Some of it's not very accessible, but we were able to find our house on there. It's not quite in the center of this picture. What we realized here is a big tree in the side yard that we thought was super old, maybe even original to the house, was not there in 1964, but some of the sidewalk work was. The garage was. So that gives us some information about our house. So it's worth taking a look over there. Of course, you want to check the archives at the library. We have a lot of pictures of houses, certainly not all of them. And then even eBay is worth looking at. Yes, even eBay. I set up search parameters on eBay, and this postcard popped up. Now on the back side, it's a postcard written by Ava Norris Milbank to a friend. But the more we looked at it, this front side, the more we realized that this might actually be her in front of our house. It's the only picture that we know of our house. So the more we looked at it, we looked at some of the details, we looked at the maps to do some comparisons, and we realized that there have been such substantial changes from this time around 1900 to now that we didn't recognize it, but we think this may be our house. So you never know what you're going to find, and it's worth taking a look. You should have enough now to get started. If you do undertake research of your home, consider sharing what you find. You should certainly keep a file that stays with the house from owner to owner. But if you also want to have a file here at the library, I would love that. In the genealogy room, I have several file cabinets, and there's various subjects and properties that we keep there, as well as family histories. And I would love to add a file on your home to that. My contact information is also shown on the screen here. If you need help, I will help you in any way that I can. Thank you for watching this, and happy hunting.